Hey, Mr. Duvall, you're a legend, man. Thanks for your work, sir.
Thank you.
Godfather's one of my dad's favorite movies. He watched it a million times.
Oh, good, good.
We learned today that Oscar-winning actor Robert Duvall has died at the age of 95. His iconic roles in The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, and so many other movies. And tonight, the role he once said was his favorite. And Al Pacino and Robert De Niro now remembering him tonight.
Robert Duvall was one of those actors whose presence could slow a scene down without saying much. The news of his death spread fast, and it hit fans harder than many expected. People who grew up watching his films felt like they lost a familiar voice. But how does someone build a career that lasts for decades without chasing the spotlight? And why do his performances still feel honest, even years later? Keep watching as we look back at his life, his work, and the quiet impact he left behind. Robert Duvall was 95 when he died, and the room that held his final breath was small, private, and familiar. He passed away at home on February 15th, 2026. Surrounded by family. His wife released a short statement saying he died peacefully and listing no illness. That simple ending feels odd after a life spent wrestling with characters who never surrendered. He chose roles that looked ordinary but were never simple. He played men who carried weight without saying much. In movies that changed how actors approach a single scene, he could drop the pace, stare, and make every pause count. The result is that his work didn't just tell stories. It made audiences feel the air in the room. His career was long enough to be a map of modern American film. He first drew attention in the early 1960s with steady small parts and stage work. Then came the roles that stuck. His quiet, loyal consigliere in The Godfather, the brutal and oddly comic commander in Apocalypse Now, and the gentle country singer who finds grace in tender mercies. He won the Academy Award for Best Actor for that last role, and those performances show his range, humor, menace, mercy, often in the same hour. He never chased stardom in the flashy sense. He built a reputation for reliability. Directors called him when a role needed texture, not just line. He turned small choices into lasting details. That made him famous. Audiences loved him for the same reason other actors feared him. He made the ordinary look earned. People loved him because he trusted silence. Where other actors filled scenes, he trusted them to breathe. That gave his characters room to be messy and real. You could see a whole life in the way he took off his hat or lit a cigarette. In a world that prizes big gestures, his restraint felt like honest. Fans responded because his performances did not announce themselves, they suggested. That quiet invitation created a rare form of intimacy between actor and viewer. He mattered to his generation because he kept showing up. From the studio era to the age of streaming, he adapted without changing his core method. Younger actors studied him not as a celebrity, but as a craftsperson. He taught by example, preparation, listening, and a willingness to live inside a role. Those lessons crossed decades. They shaped how several generations of actors learned to approach a scene. Awards and nominations followed, but they were an afterthought compared to the work itself. Outside of cameras and stages, accounts from colleagues describe a man who could be blunt and private, who loved simple pleasures like food and horses. He kept a small farm and moved away from Hollywood's constant glare. That choice spoke to a larger truth. His art did not need constant applause to thrive. He wanted to live a life that fed the work, not the other way around. Friends say he was intense on set, but generous in rehearsal. He liked to tell stories. He also liked to listen. Those habits cut through his roles and into how people remember him off-screen. He leaves a clear record of honors. Over a 7-decade career, he earned 7 Academy Award nominations and 1 Best Actor in 1984. He claimed multiple Golden Globe wins and received recognition from BAFTA and the Screen Actors Guild. Beyond trophies, his filmography spans more than 100 credits across film and television. He also tried directing and writing, most notably on personal projects that blended life and art. Those numbers tell part of the story. They show steady relevance, a long arc of steady work and recognition. His achievements are easy to list: an Academy Award, multiple nominations, Golden Globes, and major roles across film and television. But that list misses the point. His achievement was the steadiness of his curiosity. He kept choosing difficult parts, even when the safe choice would have been easier. He directed films, wrote, and kept working into his later years. In 2015, he earned praise for a supporting role in a courtroom drama that reminded audiences he still had the instincts that made his earlier work feel so necessary. Those were not stunts. They were careful continuations of a practice he never let lapse. His legacy will live in small moments. In classrooms, acting teachers will still point to a single exchange in a late scene and ask students what is happening under the words. In living rooms, new viewers will discover his films and call a friend that night to talk about one quiet reveal. Directors will seek actors who can hold the frame without calling attention to themselves. That is a cultural ripple. Not loud, not immediate, but real. His work shifted how we value restraint and performance. It nudged an industry to respect listening as much as speaking. If you go back through his films, you notice a pattern. He loved roles that lived on the border between toughness and tenderness. He gave voice to men trying to stay whole after loss or violence. That combination made him a mirror for the 20th century American male. Complicated, at times broken, sometimes kind. He didn't invent that complexity, but he made it believable. That believability is what kept him in conversation with generations who saw pieces of their own fathers, brothers, or selves in his performances. Mourning an actor like him is oddly specific. Fans do not only mourn a person, but the particular way they taught us to look at people. He asked us to pay attention to small shifts in posture, to listen for what was unsaid. That skill teaches empathy. It makes scenes feel like windows rather than displays. Now that he is gone, those lessons pass to the people who learned from him, co-actors, students, and viewers who will keep watching. Each new viewing of a scene becomes a quiet act of remembrance. In the days since his death, tributes poured in from peers and critics. They named specific scenes and lines that stayed with them. These reactions reveal more than admiration. They show how deeply his work was woven into the industry's memory. When actors speak about him, they speak about a standard he embodied. That standard is not a checklist, it is a patience. It is the refusal to trade truth for applause. That insistence is part of his inheritance. There is a practical side to his legacy too. His films will see renewed attention. Streaming platforms and theaters will host retrospectives. Students will clip scenes for analysis. Film historians will place his work in the arc between method-driven realism and modern storytelling. Those catalogs and essays will keep his name in circulation, but the truest record will remain the work itself. The breaths he gave to characters, and the room he made for audiences to feel with them. If Robert Duvall's work meant something to you, let us know your favorite role in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe and stay with us for the next one.